I gave birth in year 10 at just 15 years old, and this is my birth story. Story time and clean with me. So this story time starts in my bedroom. Now, the night before I gave birth, I was having Braxton Hicks, but they were starting to get more painful, and obviously my partner didn't live with me at the time, so we was on FaceTime together. And I said like, oh, I hope I'm not going into labour because these are getting really strong. But I fell asleep just fine. I slept all through the night, which was really weird for me because I never used to sleep all through the night. When I was pregnant, I used to wake up all the time. So I'd slept all through the night, had a really good sleep. And I'd had a nightmare, and this nightmare was that a guy was chasing me and my nephew. My nephew was in a pram because he was only 6 months old when Ivy was born, and I was running past my sister's house and my waters had broken, and in my dream I was going, not now, not now, not now. And I woke up and my bed was wet, and I thought I'd weed myself because, like, what the hell? Like, I hadn't weed myself in my pregnancy so far, and I've heard like of women saying that they start weaning themselves like in bed when they get so far along in pregnancy. It can happen. So I sat there and thought to myself, I'm that far along in pregnancy that I have just weed myself in my bed. And then after this, I thought, actually, I really, really need a wee. So I went for a wee and I just kept leaking my waters that I didn't know was my waters at the time. I probably did know. It's probably a bit of denial, to be honest. I also forgot to mention this was at 6:43 in the morning, and this was also the first day of my partner's GCSEs because he was the year above me. I was in year 10, he was in year 11, and it was his first day of GCSEs. So I ended up messaging him and saying, I think my waters are broke. And then I rang my sister and was like, I think my waters are broke. And the reason I didn't tell my mum is because I didn't want to wake her up and then it'd be a false alarm. So my sister told me, like, put a towel underneath you, see what happens. And obviously this towel ended up getting full of waters, and she had messaged my mum saying like Saf's waters is broke. So my mum came in like 5 minutes later and was like, have your waters broke? I was like, I don't know. And they had broke, yes. So then about an hour later, we made our way to the hospital. When I got there, we went into like, it's not the labour ward, it's what you go on before the labour ward. And she was like, I'm going to come check you in about 4 hours. And I just had a gut feeling. I was like, please, can you check me now? And she was like, we don't need to, but I can. And she did a check and she was like, you are 4 to 5 centimetres dilated. You need to go to the labour and delivery ward. Bearing in mind, by this point, I was having like Braxton Hicks. They weren't even contractions. So then after about 2 hours on the labour and delivery ward, labour was going like perfectly fine. I did not have any contractions, barely. I was just bouncing away my ball. And then about 2 hours later, they did a check and I was 6 centimetres dilated. But when they did this check, it literally kick-started my labour. And for 55 minutes straight, I was having back-to-back contractions. It was horrible. I had gas and air. I was begging for the epidural, and it was like, you are like 8 centimetres dilated. You cannot have the epidural. And then it came time to push. Now, Ivy's heart rate started dropping, and her cord was also wrapped